In the last few years, I've been in a habit of buying and reading comic books, and last year, I discovered manga, which was pretty dope. The truth is, my comic and manga purchases have been outpacing my reading by a little bit. Okay, by a lot. But that's all about to change because this year I challenged myself to read an epic amount of comics and manga. And these weekly videos will help to keep me accountable and help to document my journey. So welcome back, my fellow comic book friends, and let's kick it. What better way to start this whole adventure than to start off with number one? We got Wonder Woman, number one. We got Batman, Absolute Superman, dope. Also have Absolute Batman issue 2. I also do have, look at this, I got the shinies. Ooh, Superman foil variant as well. Very nice, very nice. Actually, no, they look pretty average, but you know, I'm a sucker for shiny things. I am a human magpie. There's some serious weight to this issue. It's either double-sized or it's just super thick paper. All right, issue 1. And then Batman said, nah, it's not gonna be one of those videos. Unless you want it to be. Okay, guys, I just have to say that the action in this is peak, man. It is freaking good. Do you feel like DC has learned a thing or two over the years? This is just on the next level. I think they're really bringing the game here with the Absolute line. I'm only halfway through this issue, and it's been nothing but awesome so far. It's commercial time. This is the V drink. We got these here in Australia and New Zealand. I don't know if you guys have them anywhere in the world. This is like super free advertising for V. Energy drinks. They're sort of like Red Bull. Taste a little bit different. Kind of nice. Yeah. So V, if you just want to give me $1 billion for some advertising, that's how it works, right? I didn't think I would enjoy this so much. I know Scott Snyder was hyping it up to the max. But he didn't let me down at all. This was hella awesome. I love how the origin story is completely different for a lot of the characters. Well, maybe not like completely different, but you know, it's a different variation of what we're used to in the original DC universe. So this is the equivalent of the Marvel Ultimate Universe. I'm digging it so far. By the way, it's like a squillion bajillion degrees right now in Perth. Today, in fact, it is 40 degrees. So for my American friends in Fahrenheit, that's probably like 600 Fahrenheit or something. I don't know. Super high. It's hot, man. Batman's Batmobile is like a giant mining dump truck. So crazy, man. So the first issue of Absolute Wonder Woman, extremely action-packed, but also just highly emotionally charged. And I love that. I love seeing the progress of Diana as a kid growing up. And I gotta be honest, this is my very first Wonder Woman comic book. That big sword, though, definitely gives me guts energy. That's the Jim Lee variant cover, by the way. It's a great jumping on point for people like myself who have very little to no knowledge about Wonder Woman as a character. This is a good start. This is a great start. Okay, it's cake break time. Let's go. Yum, 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 yum. Man, I'm gonna be so fat. It's no wonder I get no comic book reading done. Just eating and being a fat bastard. You know, I gotta say, in Absolute Superman, the panel layouts are simply gorgeous. Check this out. I just love the little details, you know, like the little Superman logos in the corner. Holy Kryptonian giggity, man. Superman's mom, though. Wow. Ooh, and also, just one second, I got this cover too. I loved the second printing. Check it out. Whoop. Okay, cheers. Clink. So this is my first taste of the Absolute line by DC Comics. The writers are really giving it their best. You can tell that Scott Snyder made a promise that they were going to throw everything at this, give us something creative, give us something original. They're really delivering on that. It's like DC is really stepping up on this. I love the fact that we get to see, you know, Superman's family, a bit more of the origin story, and the setup is a little bit different in terms of where he is in the world and what he is doing. The same goes for a lot of these characters. Their origin stories are shaped up in a different way, which means that the character outcomes are very different too. You know, the way that they behave, the way that they look, the things that they do, their belief systems and whatnot. Hopefully we get to see the trifecta come together eventually. I get the feeling that DC is gonna brew up something special and put all of these characters together in one book. They'll call it Absolute Justice or something, and it's gonna be interesting. Hopefully it'll deliver on the premise like these books have. If I were to rank these, I'd probably say Absolute Batman first, Absolute Wonder Woman second, and then I would put Superman last. Artwork is fantastic in all of these. It's unique. It doesn't completely blow me away. That's right, baby. It is Dan Volume 3. It is fascinating that it is in plastic. You know, I got this one in Japan, like you guys would have seen in some of my previous videos. It's very apparent that they love to put their brand new tankobans manga in plastic. I like it, but it's maybe not too good for the environment. Nothing like the smell of a brand new comic book, especially a manga. I find that comic books and mangas smell different. Am I the only one that smells books and comic books when I get them? Come on, guys. Tell me I'm not the only weirdo out there. You know, I gotta admit that each of these covers so far are absolutely stellar for Dan, and the same goes for their spines. I mean, check it. Now, I don't know if you guys have the same problem, but I have this tendency to read many different things at the same time, whether it's manga or comic books, and because of that, I seem to get a little bit lost as to where I'm up to, but that's just sort of my reading style, you know, to keep things interesting, to keep things fresh, but then that comes with a cost, because I'm like, what happened here again? Where am I up to with this? It's the price you pay, I suppose. Banging artwork, man. The nice little color pages, beautiful crisp artwork. You know, I find that this manga really doesn't waste any time. It gets stuck into the action so quickly, it just hits hard. Alright, wow. So I'm about 3 chapters into this supernatural phenomenon of a manga, and I gotta say, it's really taken a different tonal shift. It's brought in a great deal of drama, cranked it up to 11. Took me a little bit off guard, but that's what I like about it. You know, it kind of put a bit of the goofiness aside, banana organs, and it's kept strong to the horror tones, brought in a great sense of emotion. It instilled a level of maturity that I didn't expect would be present in this manga. Bruh. I absolutely love this line. I thought I would share it with you guys. And there's no way that person is your grandma. She's hot and way too young. Finally, somebody pointed it out, and I can't argue with that. S-tier grandma. You know what? I gotta admit that this manga really has unlimited imagination. Some of the stuff that happens in here is just jeepers creepers, man. This is awesome. Plain insane, but it's just fun. And this is the epitome of insane fun. Just a good time. It just gets ridiculous, and it owns it, man. Alright, it's still a trillion bajillion degrees here in Perth, WA, but it doesn't matter because today we are reading this is volume 3 of the library edition. Freaking awesome. I'm halfway through it, got my little bookmark in there. Welcome back to another day of reading. I find this is getting more challenging with each passing day because, you know, you gotta put some time aside to read something. You could obliterate something with this bad boy. Man, so massive. Yeah, let's see if I can read about... Actually, how far am I into this? Alright, I'm on issue 60 exactly, so let's see if I can get through like half a dozen issues. Hey, look at that. Man, this brings back memories. Remember Book Depository? Oh, I still have their bookmarks. I miss that place. By the way, issue 60 was insane. It's been building up to this point for a long time. I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys. Like, if you read... you know what I'm talking about, and if you have it, I recommend that you check it out, or the TV show. I think season 3 is coming around the bend right now. Artwork is just perfect, whether it's the environment or the characters. This is so freaking intense. The second half of this volume is just full-blown action. It's relentless. There is no time to breathe. It's just one thing on top of the other. It's just so good. I feel like they're throwing everything they have at this book. And it's working. This was straight up insane. I read from issue 60 through to 65, and this was the best arc that I've experienced so far. I didn't realize it would get this good, and I really hope that it keeps this momentum and builds up on it. Reading it in this format is just simply so cinematic. Some of the double page spreads are absolutely nuts. The action is just over the top. The stakes keep getting higher and higher, and I feel like the book just maybe needs to pull back a little bit and just chill out. I'm looking forward to the rest of this. I kind of feel like I need to savor it. Probably gonna read some things in between. If it keeps being as good as this, man, this is probably gonna be one of my favorite comic books of all time. This is so good. John Constantine, Hellblazer, Dead in America. That's right, John Constantine is back, written by Simon Spurrier once more. He did a 12-issue series in the past. Sadly, it was cut short. I think he had bigger plans for it. Maybe the fan base wasn't there. I'm so glad to see him back. So I've got half a dozen issues. Let's see what it's all about. Fantastic artwork. What's really great about this, it has a recap from the previous 12 issues written by Simon Spurrier, which is awesome. Gives you the vibes of a pretty crazy ass acid trip. These comics are rich in dialogue, man. This is no joke. I know I plan to read 6 issues of Hellblazer tonight, but man, after 3 issues, I'm pretty exhausted, and I think I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a bit of a break from John Constantine Hellblazer because it was pretty heavy mom spaghetti, and I'm gonna mix it up today with The Amazing Spider-Man. That's right, this masterpiece. So I'm gonna read all the way from issue 50, I've got the piles over here, through to 60. So that's gonna be about 11 comic issues. I think I've got like an hour or two. Maybe I can squeeze it in. I'm a bit of a slow reader, but first, Compound V. So looking at the first few Amazing Spider-Man covers, I can already tell it's going to be a goblin-centric story. Which, by the way, there are so many goblins in the Amazing Spider-Man right now. We got the Green Goblin, the Red Goblin, the Hobgoblin, the Queen Goblin, the Gold Goblin. There's a lot of goblins, man. I really like the relationship between Peter Parker and Norman Osborn. You know, when they're not at each other's throats, there's a really interesting dynamic between the two. Am I in the minority that likes this status quo? Let me know in the comments below. Well, I think I spoke too soon. Okay, so maybe the story isn't stellar, but the artwork is on point. I love how Spider-Man is making all these references, you know, back in Amazing Spider-Man 927, back in Amazing Spider-Man 940, and yet I can't even remember what I had for breakfast. So issue 50. What a twist. The Sinister Six talking about the living brain. There is so much rich storytelling that must have happened preceding this. I really need to do like a deep dive into the Amazing Spider-Man. Maybe read like the past 20 years. I could do like a huge marathon of the Amazing Spider-Man just so I can wrap my head around what's been going on. If you're a new reader, I can definitely understand why you will get turned off by this. There's just so much going on. But you know what? I'm just gonna go with it. Just finished issue 51 and this is really fun. It's peak action, full-on drama, beautiful artwork, and it's such a polar opposite compared to the John Constantine Hellblazer, and this is exactly what I need right now. I can switch my brain off and this is guilty pleasure type of stuff, as opposed to the Hellblazer comics, which are so dense and rich in dialogue, and also there's different accents that the characters have in the comics, which can be a bit tricky. You know, you've got the Cockney British, the Scottish. It can be a little bit difficult to follow along, but this is just a breeze. It's just fun. Oh man, oh my god, I love it when Rec Rap makes an appearance. S-tier character. Man, Rec Rap is crazy. Huge revelation, guys. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Oh, that's sweet. They're back to being friends again. You know, I gotta say, I was pretty satisfied with this ending. It may not be the best storytelling, but it's just plain fun. And I think I'm gonna stop it there because I've run out of time. But I'm gonna pick it up again later this week. So today's gonna be a big day and I'm going to commit to finish off a lot of the comic books that I failed to do so earlier this week. So we got the Hellblazer, Dead in America, John Constantine, which by the way is really, really good despite me giving it some criticism about it can be a bit challenging to read because you need to be in a particular frame of mind. And I've got my Amazing Spider-Man comics that I failed to finish this week as well. So I'm gonna redeem myself. And to top it all off, I have, that's right, this big bad boy. I've got about 5 or 6 chapters remaining here, so let's go. The facial expressions in this art are simply stunning. I gotta give it to John Constantine. Sometimes he comes across as a classy character. So the Swamp Thing says, something has snared my essence. Something aches in the soil. John responds with, something aches in my balls, mate. And I'm pretty sure it's you. This was meant to be easy. Love this guy. You know it's gonna be a good day when you have some pizza for breakfast. Alright, yum 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 yum. This must look like I have the worst diet in the world. But honestly guys, I promise you, this isn't what I always eat. And I'm gonna eat some fruit straight after this. I promise. Please don't judge me. I find these stories to be very nuanced. You have to pay attention to all the little details here. See guys, I told you I would eat some fruit. Ta-da! Raspberries. See, I'm always doing the good things. Just pretend you didn't see that. You can really notice when Aaron Campbell is not on the artwork in this series. And it's an absolute shame because he's extremely talented and the best fit for this particular comic book. Okay, so issue 5 is really a smorgasbord full of different art styles. Kinda makes sense because there's a whole bunch of little mini stories squished in together. That's more like it, the beautiful art style making a comeback. When it comes to the John Constantine comic books, I can safely say that you are definitely getting your money's worth. There's just so much much storytelling in here. It is multi-layered, there's a lot to unpack, and the artwork is really beautiful when Aaron Campbell is on the book. Definitely enjoying it. You need to be in a particular frame of mind to really capture all of this, and I think you do need to keep reading it. If you do break away from it, it can be difficult to pick up because there's a lot of little details and references sprinkled throughout all of the comic books. Alright, it's time to hit up Spider-Man with issue 55 where I left off last time. I'm gonna start using a reading stand. Have you guys used them before? Like, I'm getting some serious neck and head pains, and it's been something that's been coming around recently. You know, I'm getting old. Do you guys use a reading stand? Like, what is your comic book reading method? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments below. On a side note, this is pretty good. This is a prebiotic soda. You know, kombucha. Do you guys drink that stuff? I recently got into it. So, cheers. It's got 0 sugar. I guess that's always a plus. I remember the initial iterations of kombucha were absolutely terrible, but it really perfected the taste. So, Spider-Man's on a date, which is a nice change of pace. Just finished The Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells with issue 60. The best way to describe this run is that it starts off decent, it ends pretty decent as well. I enjoyed the story tying up the loose ends, the epic fight between Spider-Man and Tombstone. In the middle of this run though, it does get a little bit lost and a bit wonky. So, this comic book that I am trying to avoid saying its title, just in case we get another intro screen. Yeah, like that one. Thanks, editor. The adventures of Mark Grayson continue from issue 66 through to 70, which wraps up this 3rd volume of... Damn it. In this comic book, we get to see our protagonist recovering from the massive attack on Earth by a character called Conquest. That was pretty freaking epic. The relationship between Mark and Cecil has definitely been quite strained, but it seems to be repairing by the end of this. There's a lot of new threats attacking Earth, such as this princess called Universa, the Sequids, once again, and Dinosaur Man. We get to see what Nolan, aka Omni-Man, has been up to also see Alan the Alien. I love that guy. There's appearances of some old school criminals that we've seen in the past. There seems to be the preparation of a war against the Viltrumites. What's interesting to see is that we are 70 issues in, which is just about halfway through. Damn it. So there's so much more storytelling to go. It's Sunday now, which means I gotta read something chill, something wholesome, something relaxing, such as Fire Punch. Specifically volume 2, okay? I know this is far from relaxing or wholesome. This is like PTSD to the max. Well, the first volume was anyway. I enjoyed it very much, but once again, guys, it says here on the cover, it's explicit content. This is pretty grim and as dark as it gets. It does have some pretty nasty themes in here. There's slavery, there is abuse of all kinds, violence and gore as well. So this is Tatsuki Fujimoto, the guy who brought us Chainsaw Man. So just be ready for that. So I just finished volume 2 of Fire Punch, and those that are not familiar with the story, Fire Punch takes place on an Earth that has become frozen over and barren. The series follows Agni, a young man who is able to regenerate his body. After his village succumbs to inextinguishable flames, he is left constantly on fire, leaving him in an anguish and vowing to get revenge. We are introduced to a new character called Togata, a mysterious girl who is trying to film a movie starring Agni, which is our protagonist. She's basically obsessed with movies and wants to film the protagonist throughout his journey. She is very unhinged. This movie-obsessed lady is a great fighter, but man, she's pretty dumb. She has lived for a long time and also has powers, also known as Blessed, of regeneration. I do love a good knife fight. The story is incredibly dark. Oh wow, the people are actually referred to as firewood. 2 pages in and the action is already unfolding. Holy moly. It's very meta with this movie-obsessed character being thrown into the mix as well. So now we have like a Rocky montage with the characters trying to learn very sophisticated English words. Sort of reminds me of the character Kanaguri in Sakamoto Days, who is also obsessed with movies and loves to film every moment that's happening. I really love it when they're able to show a level of depth in the artwork. It just looks so cool, man. So that wraps up the week, and I would have to say the pick of the week for me would have to go to There was just so much going on. The action was just so visceral and exciting and epic, and the story direction where it's going, I'm very invested in all of the characters and everything that's being stitched together in the book. It's like Robert Kirkman is throwing everything at it and it's working. I have to thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be throwing out a video like this each and every single week. Hopefully I'll be able to keep up with this pace. Hopefully I'll be able to survive these next 51 remaining weeks of the year, of which I'm going to be reading a lot of things. If there is anything that you would like to recommend me, or maybe you've seen something in my collection, you can check out that video. My comics and manga collection is a mess. Maybe you can find something in there and you can say, hey, Casper, read that thing. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Feel free to do so, and I will be sure to include it in my reading schedule. It's gonna be a big year. Let's kick it. Let's have a good time. Thank you so much once again, guys. Let me know in the comments below, what are you reading? And yeah, see you soon.